What if I told you that all the waste we're constantly trying to get rid of is actually the most important part of the whole system? Today, we're going to dig into this really interesting idea that what looks like inefficiency might just be the one thing keeping everything from completely falling apart. And this quote right here, it gets right to the heart of it. What looks like waste is often doing invisible work. It's such a great way to think about it. It means that some of the stuff we just write off as useless is actually doing a super critical job just behind the scenes. So let's unpack that. I'm sure you're familiar with what I like to call the gospel of efficiency. You hear it everywhere in business, in project management, even in our own productivity hacks. And the message is always the same, right? Trim the fat, get rid of all the slack, make everything as lean and mean as possible. So, commandment number 1 is always less inventory. The whole just-in-time model is built on this. I mean, why have extra stuff just sitting around taking up space when you can get it exactly when you need it? Commandment number 2, less time. You've got to pack those schedules tight, squeeze those turnaround times. The thinking is that any empty slot in the calendar is just, well, it's wasted time. And the third big one, of course, is less redundancy. Why have 2 people who know how to do a critical job when one person can do it? Why keep a backup supplier you barely even use? It's all seen as just waste. But, and this is a big but, chasing this idea of a perfectly efficient system has this hidden and honestly pretty dangerous side effect. When we push for that level of optimization, we're actually building a deep fragility into everything we do. And this is really the central conflict, isn't it? On paper, a system with zero slack looks fantastic. It looks so sensible, so clean. But in the real world, the messy one we all live in, that same system becomes incredibly fragile, brittle even. So here's how it actually fails. When you remove all the cushions, all the padding, there's absolutely nothing left to absorb the little shocks of everyday life. A delayed shipment, a sick team member, a tiny software bug. Instead of being absorbed, every little disruption just sends a shockwave right down the line. And those shockwaves, they have very real consequences. You get a ton of stress because everyone is constantly scrambling. You get this culture of firefighting, where the whole team just lurches from one crisis to the next. And what's the end result? Fragility. A system that can totally shatter from a tiny bump it should have been able to handle. No problem. So what do we do about this? Well, the answer requires us to completely reframe how we think about waste. We need to stop seeing slack as this liability we have to get rid of and start seeing it as a powerful, strategic asset. Let's put a name on it. We're talking about a buffer. And really, a buffer is just unused capacity. But its job is absolutely critical. It's there to absorb shock when something unexpected happens so that the rest of the system is shielded from the impact. Think of it like the crumple zone in a car. And the thing is, these buffers are all around us, usually hiding in plain sight. That little bit of extra stock in the storeroom, that's a buffer against a supply delay. A few spare hours in your schedule, that protects you when a meeting runs way over. And having a second person who gets how a key process works, that is a crucial buffer for when person number 1 is out. And that really gets to the core of it. This unused capacity isn't being lazy. It's actively doing the really important work of risk management. You can think of it like an insurance policy, right? You hope you never have to use it, but man, are you glad it's there when you do. So all of this is building up to what I think is the most important trade-off we have to understand. It's all about making a fundamental shift in what we choose to optimize our systems for. This quote just nails it. Buffers don't exist to make systems faster, they exist to make systems forgiving. Think about that. We are obsessed with speed, but maybe the real goal shouldn't be just maximum velocity. Maybe the goal should be the ability to bend without breaking. The real goal is forgiveness. And here is that trade-off, laid out plain as day. A system that's optimized only for speed is brittle. It runs perfectly right up until the second it hits one tiny error, and then it just completely shatters. But a system that's designed with forgiveness in mind, one that uses buffers, well, it can absorb that exact same error, learn from it, and just keep right on going. So look, this explainer isn't about giving you a 5-step plan or some easy answer. It's really about offering a new set of questions. The goal here isn't to get to a simple conclusion. It's to invite you to just hold these questions and really reflect on the systems in your own work and in your own life. So here's the first question to just kind of chew on. In your world, your team, your company, your personal schedule, which buffers have been trimmed away in the name of efficiency without anyone really stopping to ask, hey, what invisible work was that thing actually doing for us? And here's a second one for you. Where does your system rely on everything going right all the time? If you can pinpoint those places with zero margin for error, the parts that only work if every single step is perfect, that's going to show you exactly where your biggest risks are hiding. And finally, let's do a little thought experiment. If you were forced to get just a little bit leaner, to remove just one more piece of that so-called waste, what would be the very first thing to snap? The answer to that question? Well, that tells you exactly where your system is already the most stressed, and maybe, just maybe, which buffer is the most valuable one you've got.